What your microexpressions say, the conversation flows smoothly, but something feels off. The person across from you smiles and nods at all the right moments. Their words convey interest and agreement, yet beneath the polished surface, you sense a different story, a fleeting tightness around their eyes, a momentary downturn of their mouth, a brief flash of something that contradicts their carefully controlled presentation. Happiness, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, surprise, and contempt each create distinct patterns of facial muscle movement that remain consistent whether someone is from New York or rural Papua New Guinea. In ancestral environments, the ability to quickly assess another person's emotional state could mean the difference between cooperation and conflict, safety and danger. They expose the gap between public persona and private experience. Often these intuitions stem from unconscious processing of microexpressions. Your brain detects the mismatch between words and facial expressions, creating a feeling of unease that you might dismiss as paranoia or oversensitivity. The job candidate who claims to be excited about the opportunity while their face briefly shows anxiety about inadequacy. When someone's face betrays emotions they have chosen not to share, does observing these signals violate their privacy? Children from chaotic households learn to scan faces for signs of impending anger or violence. The brief flash of genuine admiration someone shows before remembering professional boundaries. The moment of authentic affection that appears before social conditioning kicks in. The brief moments when your face reveals feelings you would prefer to keep private. The involuntary expressions that contradict your carefully chosen words. In a culture that often demands the hiding of authentic feelings, these brief facial eruptions become the only honest communication many people allow themselves. They're tiny rebellions against the requirement to always appear composed, content, and appropriate. The micro signals that betray your true reactions before you decide how to respond. Self-awareness of your own microexpressions can be both enlightening and uncomfortable. The spark of excitement that emerges before cynicism dampens it. These positive microexpressions can be just as telling as negative ones. Abuse survivors develop hypervigilance for micro-signals that might predict dangerous behavior. In a world where everyone is expected to maintain emotional composure, microexpressions become windows into authentic human experience. They remind us that beneath the managed presentations and strategic communications, people are feeling complex emotions that they may not feel safe expressing directly. These individuals often possess uncanny abilities to read others' emotional states. Skills developed through necessity rather than choice. If you can detect that someone dislikes you despite their polite behavior, what responsibility do you have to address the disconnect? The skill of reading microexpressions grants access to information that people have not consented to share. A friend who says they are happy for your success while contempt flickers across their features. The romantic partner who insists everything is fine while their expression betrays hurt and disappointment. A flash of anger might signal an impending attack. A brief expression of fear could indicate nearby threats. A moment of genuine joy might reveal trustworthy alliance. Your ancestors who could read these signals accurately were more likely to survive and reproduce. The boardroom where everyone maintains composed facades while microexpressions reveal competition, frustration, and hidden agendas. The performance review, where both parties pretend the interaction is comfortable, while their faces show anxiety and judgment. The networking event, where professional smiles fail to completely mask the underlying calculations of social positioning. These expressions represent a shared human language that transcends cultural boundaries and speaks directly to our evolved capacity for reading emotional states. These microsignals last less than a fraction of a second, but they carry more truth than minutes of practiced dialogue. Your face is betraying secrets you do not even know you are keeping. Microexpressions are involuntary facial movements that reveal genuine emotions before conscious control can mask them. Security systems analyze passenger faces for signs of deception or dangerous intent. Marketing researchers study consumer microexpressions to gauge genuine reactions to products and advertisements. The involuntary nature of these expressions makes them particularly valuable for those seeking to understand true feelings beneath social presentations. They occur in the space between feeling and thinking. In that crucial moment, when your brain processes an emotion, but before your social conditioning decides how to respond. During this brief window, your true feelings leak through your facial muscles, creating tiny eruptions of authenticity in otherwise managed interactions. These fleeting expressions operate on a timeline that consciousness cannot control. They begin within 1/25th of a second of emotional activation and complete within half a second. Your conscious mind, which processes information much more slowly, cannot intervene quickly enough to prevent them. This creates a fascinating paradox. The more someone tries to hide their true feelings, the more their microexpressions reveal the effort required to maintain the deception. Dr. Paul Ekman's groundbreaking research identified 7 universal microexpressions that appear across all human cultures. The universality of microexpressions suggests they serve crucial evolutionary functions. But microexpressions do more than reveal what people are feeling. Consider how this plays out in your own interactions. Think about moments when you have sensed someone was not being entirely honest, even when you could not articulate why. The phenomenon becomes particularly complex in professional settings where emotional control is expected and rewarded. Modern technology has begun to exploit this knowledge in disturbing ways. Some companies use microexpression analysis software to evaluate job candidates, measuring facial responses to interview questions. Yet the ability to read microexpressions also creates ethical dilemmas. The most sophisticated microexpression readers are often those who have survived environments where emotional accuracy was crucial for safety. But microexpressions also reveal positive emotions that people might feel compelled to hide. The implications extend beyond individual interactions to broader social dynamics. Learning to read microexpressions also means learning to recognize your own. Perhaps the most profound insight is that microexpressions represent the price of emotional suppression. In a culture that often demands the hiding of authentic feelings, these brief facial eruptions become the only honest communication many people allow themselves. They are tiny rebellions against the requirement to always appear composed, content, and appropriate. The next time you find yourself in conversation with someone, notice the space between their words and their face. Watch for the fleeting expressions that appear and disappear like emotional lightning. Remember that you are witnessing moments of involuntary honesty in a world that often rewards careful deception. These microsignals remind us that despite our sophisticated ability to manage our presentations, we remain fundamentally transparent creatures whose faces tell stories we cannot completely control.